This story is based on events that could have easily happened in the real world. It is not a documentary, but it could have been. It was a warm summer night in 1968. In the back streets of Atlanta, the air always felt heavier, like the heat and the silence held secrets no one dared to say aloud. Clara stood in front of her bedroom mirror, adjusting her nurse's uniform. The white fabric was clean, pressed. She had ironed it carefully, as she always did. Her name tag was slightly faded, but still readable. Clara Thompson, registered nurse. It was time for the night shift. 12 long hours. To get there, she had to take 2 buses, walk a few blocks, and pass through a part of town that still treated her like she didn't belong. She was used to that. What she wasn't used to, what still stung, was being turned away from the very place she was supposed to help. At 9:10 p.m., she stepped off the second bus. A white woman waiting nearby crossed the street as Clara approached. No words were exchanged, none needed. Clara knew what it meant. She arrived at the hospital entrance and approached the small guard booth. The man inside didn't look up, just puffed on his cigarette like it was another slow night. "What are you here for?" he asked flatly. Clara showed her ID badge. "Night shift, Thompson, intensive care unit." The man flicked his cigarette to the ground and crushed it with his boot. "Yeah, there's been a change in schedule. You're not on the list tonight." Clara frowned. "That's impossible. I was confirmed this morning." "Not my call," the guard shrugged. "Orders came down just now." Behind him, through the hospital's glass doors, nurses rushed past with clipboards, doctors called out codes over intercoms. And somewhere on the 3rd floor, a little boy was fighting a fever that wouldn't break. And the only nurse trained to treat him was left standing outside. The hospital doors never opened for Clara that night. She stood by the entrance for nearly 30 minutes, hoping someone would come down, someone with common sense or a conscience. But no one came. She finally walked to the side of the building where the break room lights were on. Through the window, she saw familiar faces, nurses she had worked alongside for months. Some looked up, some saw her. None came out. She pulled her coat tighter and sat down on the edge of the planter near the sidewalk. The night was no longer warm. Or maybe it was. Maybe it was just that her hands had gone cold. Inside, on the 3rd floor, the boy's mother paced the hallway. Her son, just 7, had been burning up for hours. He'd been admitted that morning with a suspected case of pneumonia. The doctors had done what they could, but it was the night nurse who was supposed to monitor him closely. And Clara was the only one trained for that job. She had handled cases like his before, knew the signs, knew the little details that could turn everything around if caught in time. But she wasn't there. At 2:41 a.m., the boy's heart rate spiked. Alarms went off. A nurse responded within minutes, but it was already too late. By the time a doctor rushed in, the boy had stopped breathing. There was no malpractice, no lawsuit, nothing that would make the papers. Just a silent death in a silent room. And outside, a woman sat alone on a concrete edge, staring at the parking lot, wondering why her skin color still decided who lived and who didn't. Clara never spoke about that night, not to her coworkers, not even to her sister. But the memory stayed. It clung to her like the scent of hospital disinfectant, always there, just faint enough to ignore, just strong enough to never truly forget. 32 years passed. The hospital got new wings, new staff, new rules. The old guard booth was gone, replaced by a sliding glass entrance that welcomed anyone who walked through. No one remembered the night Clara Thompson was turned away. No one, except Ava. Ava Johnson had just started her residency in pediatrics. Bright, focused, sharp-tongued when she needed to be. She was good, not just technically. She cared. Every time a child came in with a fever, she paid extra attention, checked twice, sometimes 3 times. The older doctors called her obsessive, but they didn't know why. Ava's mother never spoke much about her own childhood, but there was one story she'd told only once, when Ava was 10 years old. She had a brother. His name was Marcus. He got sick one night, high fever, breathing trouble. Their mom rushed him to the hospital, but the nurse who was supposed to take care of him never showed up. "She tried, baby," Ava's mom had said. "She was outside. They didn't let her in." That was all she ever said. Ava never asked again, but she never forgot either. Now, standing in the same hospital years later, Ava found herself in a meeting room with a list of applicants for a new nursing position. One name caught her eye: Clara Thompson. Ava froze. Could it be the same woman? She excused herself from the meeting and walked down to the staff records department. After some searching, she found the old personnel file. Same name, same handwriting. Terminated without cause. Her heart sank. She left the building that day and drove across town to an old care facility. Clara was there, retired, slow-moving, but still sharp as ever. They sat on a bench near the garden. Clara looked at her, puzzled. "Have we met?" Ava shook her head, smiling gently. "But you tried to save someone I loved." They didn't talk much after that, just sat there, in silence, in peace. Sometimes justice doesn't come with noise or headlines. Sometimes it arrives quietly, when the right person remembers what the world chose to forget.